The best caliber for deer hunting. And it's not like us hunters hadn't talked about this one before. And I've talked about this a lot in the past, but I always talked about it in relation to other things like the best bullet or the actual projectile or rifles, short action and long actions. But I keep getting so many questions on just this that today I want to talk about just the best caliber for deer hunting. And it's no wonder there's a lot of questions about this. I mean, especially new hunters. But us experienced ones, we're always, looking to improve and learn and try new things too. All right. Well, with so many choices out there, there's going to be a lot of questions on this, and there's so many variables to try to account for. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the quick answer that you always hear, and it's true. But the best caliber is the one that best suits how you hunt. Problem is that did not exactly help, narrow down all your choices or the variables, did it? All right, so today we're going to look at how to match the caliber to how you hunt so that you get the best caliber for deer hunting. And we're going to try our best to simplify this here. The easiest way I can think of to simplify this whole process of figuring out what the best cartridge or caliber is for you is to start by breaking down all the cartridges or calibers, break them down by range, their effective ranges. So we've got 4 categories. We've got short range, we've got intermediate range, we've got long range, we've got extreme long range. And for your short ranges, that's your 30-30 Winchester. Right, that's all of your cartridges that you would chamber in a lever action rifle, or that are chambered in lever action rifles. So that's your 444 Marlin, that's your 45-70, that's your pistol cartridges that are in lever action rifles. So 357 Magnum, 44 Magnum, 32 Winchester Special, and so many others. Those are your short range cartridges. For your intermediate range, all right, this is all of your short actions. Okay, this is your 308 Winchester. This is 7mm 08. This is 243, 260 Remington, 6.5 Creedmoor. And it's also your 7mm Mauser based cartridges. So 7 Mauser, 6mm Remington, 257 Roberts. Those are your intermediate ranges. Long range. This is all of your long action cartridges. So this is your 30-06 Springfield, 280 Remington, 270 Winchester, 25-06, all of your long actions. Extreme long range. This is your Magnums, 300 Winchester Magnum, 7mm Remington Magnum. And this is your really fast Magnums. This is not your African big game Magnums. So we're not talking 375 H&H here. We're talking your fast Magnums, your Weatherbys. All of the cartridges you would use for deer hunting. All right, now let's put some yardages with those ranges. Short range. We're going to say that the ideal yardages for your short range cartridges is 0 to 75 yards. Okay, and those of you that know your ballistics and your cartridges and distances and all that, I know you're shaking your head, but hold on a minute. I know they're capable of more than that. Okay, this 30-30, it can reach out past 75 yards, no problem. We're looking at the ideal. Where are these at their absolute best? And the short range cartridges, they're generally at their absolute best in 0 to 75 yards. Intermediate range cartridges, 50 to 200 yards. That's their ideal range. Long range cartridges, we're going to say 150 to 275 yards. Your Magnums, 250 yards plus, as far out as you plan on trying to shoot. And I know they're all capable of more than what I just said. Okay, the intermediate range cartridges. You can reach out way past 200 yards with them, no problem at all. But that's just seems to be where they're at their best. That's if you're around that 125, 150 yard mark, 100 yards, they're just perfect. And that's what we're looking for here. Okay, we're not looking for the most versatile cartridge. We're not looking for, the what if. We're looking for the best for what we're doing. Okay, and just to put this in perspective here, let me grab a couple things. Let's say you're a framer, you build houses. All right, and then you're driving nails all day long. It's your main tool. This is a framing hammer. All right. You're not going to use this 3-pound hammer for what if, for just in case. What if you had to drive in a ground rod one day? You're not going to use this all day for framing, driving in nails, because, well, what if I needed this for something else? You're going to use your framing hammer for what your job is, which is driving in nails, framing. And then if one day you do have to drive in a grinding rod, then you're going to go get this. Well, us hunters are the world's worst about the, well, what if? Okay, almost all of your deer are shot at less than 100 yards. You're hunting thick stuff. You're picking out a cartridge or caliber for you. Well, what if I have to shoot one at 400? Maybe I better get this Magnum. We do it. I've done it. I'm speaking from experience here. And it took me a long time to figure this point out, but you don't get or choose a cartridge or caliber based on, well, what if? You pick it based on how you hunt and what you are doing. That's how you get the best. If you start looking at I want the most versatile, well, now you're picking what's mediocre. And the title of this is the best caliber for deer hunting. It's not what can you make work or what can get you by. So that's all we're focused on today is the best. And those yardages are where each of these are at their best. And just to drive that point home and why the distances are so important. We've got these 4 here. They're all 30 caliber. So they're shooting the same bullet. And when I say they're shooting the same bullet, I mean the same bullet. I can literally take any 30 caliber bullet made by whoever, Winchester, Remington, whatever, and I can take that 150 grain bullet and I can load it right at that press right there, load it in any one of these and go shoot a deer with it. All right, so let's say we're debating these as far as which is the best, like us hunters tend to do. All right, let's say I love a 30-30. That's my absolute favorite. And let's say you love 30-06. That's your favorite. And we're debating which is best. And, I love 30-30, you love 30-06. Well, what are we debating? Okay. Really and truly, all we could be debating is velocity. There's no other difference between them. It's the same bullet, so the only difference is velocity. Yeah, the cases are different, but that's just the bigger the case, the more powder it holds. That's where the extra velocity comes from. So all we'd be debating is velocity. Except for people that favor a 30-30, the people that are actually out there killing deer with a 30-30, that love a 30-30. They're using a 30-30 at close ranges. The people that love a 30-06, that are actually killing deer with them, they're using them at longer ranges. Well, at those longer ranges, the 30-06 is slowing down. So at 200 yards, the impact velocity of this 30-06 is the same as this 30-30. So really and truly, we wouldn't even be debating velocity. We wouldn't be debating anything if you actually think about it, because I would be agreeing that, hey, this is the best bullet for deer hunting. We're using the same bullet. And we would be agreeing, hey, this is the best velocity, because our impact velocities are about the same. Really and truly, all we would be doing is saying, for the yardages I hunt, for me, this 30-30 is perfect. And you would be saying, for the yardages you hunt, this 30-06 is perfect. So that's really all we're doing, is just saying what works for us at the yardages we're shooting deer at. That's why your yardages are so important. And the way I came up with the different numbers, as far as what your ideal ranges are, is partly based on experience. You can't just correlate the numbers from a chart to the cartridges, because they don't match up perfectly. In truth, on the ballistics chart, the 30-06 at 200 yards is the same velocity as 30-30 at 50 by those charts. All right, well, those charts to come up with velocity for a 30-30, they're using a 24-inch barrel. When was the last time you saw a 30-30 with a 24-inch barrel? They almost all have a 20-inch barrel. So your actual velocities for a 30-30 are less. And for those of you that, again, that really know your velocities, you know a 308 and a 30-06 are really close in velocity. So why the big difference in my yardages for those? Well, again, that's by the charts. And actual real world, there's usually more of a difference. Right? The 30-06 is, the 24-inch barrels were standard for your 30-06 at one time. Now it seems to be 22, but I prefer a 24-inch barrel for the long actions. And if you're going to use a long action, I highly recommend you get a 24-inch barrel. I don't even think you can find a 24-inch barrel on a hunting rifle for a 308. You can find 20-inch barrels all day long. Well, barrel length affects your velocity. The 308s are almost always coming in slower than what you see in the charts. All right, so that's why I have, the yardages broke down like I do. Hopefully at this point you figured out which of the four ranges best fits you and your area and how you're going to hunt. Well, if you've done that, you just eliminated 3/4 of the cartridges out there. Now all you've got to do is, within your category, figure out what caliber bullet to go with. And this is where we're going to get into the actual caliber. So I've got 3 intermediate range cartridges here. I've got a 308 Winchester. I've got a 7mm 08. And I've got a 257 Roberts. All intermediate range cartridges, all of them are absolutely perfect from 50 to 200 yards. Okay, so what's the differences with calibers that you need to be aware of? All right, the most obvious, I think, is going to be recoil. The smaller the caliber, generally the smaller the bullet, the lighter the recoil. I mean, just physics here. All right, but this is something you have to be really careful about. A lot of people, they look at the velocities on these. All right, this is 257 Roberts. I've got a 100 grain bullet here, and it is absolutely screaming compared to this 308. It would be really easy to look at the velocities of this and say, well, hey, that's 270 velocities. I can use this for long range, not intermediate. Well, no. All right, it does have the velocity, but this 100 grain 25 caliber bullet does not have the mass of your 130 and 140 grain 270 bullets. Okay, when you give up weight, and that's how you get your velocity. All right. As far as velocity itself, the bigger the diameter of the bore, so the larger the caliber, the more velocity you're going to get if all things are equal. 270. Everybody knows 270 is flat shooting and faster than a 30-06. Well, it is if you compare 130 grain 270 to 150 grain 30-06. If you compare 150 grain 270 to 150 grain 30-06, the 30-06 is faster. All right, so just keep that in mind. But if you drop enough weight, eventually you're going to get more velocity. Just the way it works. All right, so this has 270 velocity because it drops so much weight. It's a smaller bore diameter, but it doesn't have the mass. And mass is important as far as downrange energy. And if you're planning on, with these intermediate ranges, like I said, they can go past 200 yards. That's not a problem. That's not their limit. It's just where they're at their best. Well, if you're going to go past that, if that's your primary range, 5,200 yards, but you might have to stretch it out to 250. All right. The heavier bullets are going to do a better job because even though they're slower to start with, they're going to have more mass when they get there. Therefore, they're going to have more energy, and you're going to get better penetration. So that's just something to keep in mind. The downside is, though, you get the heavier recoil to go with it. And, again, that's just physics. The more energy you have going that way, the more energy you got coming back this way in recoil. That's just the way it is. But they're all going to be outstanding 40 yardages for their ideal range. So it's personal preference here. And my best advice here, pick something based on your personality. If you just absolutely love the thought of hitting them with a heavy piece of lead, go with the larger calibers within that range in those cartridges. If you love the thought of, really fast and precise, go with the lighter ones. And something else, I have to throw this out here. I know a lot of you love a 6.5 Creedmoor. And it's a wonderful cartridge. You got a 243 Winchester, which is 6mm. You got a 7mm 08 Remington, which is 7mm. A 6.5 is absolutely dead center between the two. And it's practically the same case. Those are outstanding cartridges. 6.5 is dead center. It's going to be a great deer hunting cartridge. It's not going to be a long range cartridge. And I know that's what everybody says about 6.5. This is a long range cartridge. It is for shooting paper, not deer. The bullets are smaller. You're not going to have that energy way out there. Yeah, you can shoot 140 grain in 6.5 and then, hey, you're like a 270. But if you go to 140 grain, then you're not getting the velocity of the 270. So keep that in mind. And again, it's personal preference at this point. Go with what fits you. It's going to work if you're within those yardages for your range, those cartridges. As I said early on, all of these cartridges are capable of a lot more than the yardages I listed. The magnums. You can shoot a deer at 10 yards with a 300 mag if you want to. It's just definitely not ideal for that. You're going to do way too much damage to your meat. You're going to get way more recoil than is necessary to kill a deer at 10 yards. You're going to pay way more for your ammunition. Your rifle's going to be a lot heavier. It can do it, it's just not ideal. 308 Winchester, 200 yards limit on that. You can take deer at 300 yards with 308 Winchester. The capability's there. It's just not ideal for it. So what you need, what you're after, again, the title of this is the best caliber cartridge for deer hunting. You're just trying to get the best for what you're doing. And if you need to get more or less out of it, you can do that. Don't worry about that. So don't think, okay, because you're in the woods, you need to get that Magnum in case you had to stretch out there and get one. If you get really good with your 308, you can stretch out there with it. It's going to fit the type of hunting you do more often. I really hope this helps you pick out the best caliber cartridge for you for deer hunting. And if the video helped you out in any way, hey, give me a thumbs up. And if it didn't, give me a thumbs up. Let YouTube know you like shooting and hunting videos. And if you want to see any future videos, hit the subscribe button and notification bell. And I think that about covered it for the best caliber for deer hunting. God bless and have a good day.